Hello, hello. So we are going to be talking about percent equations. This is the first of 2 percent equation lessons that you're going to be watching. And we're going to start with what the word percent actually means. Now, if I break it down into 2 parts, per means divided by. So if we say miles per gallon, it's how many miles divided by how many gallons it took to go that far. Or dollars per hour. How many dollars you earned divided by how many hours you worked gives you your wage, your hourly rate. Per literally means divided by. And then we have the second part of the word cent. If you ask yourself, how many years is in a century? How many legs does a centipede have? Cent refers to the number 100. Now, when we put it together, percent means divided by 100. Quite literally. What percent does, though, is it tells you how many parts out of 100 you have. So in other words, if I had 16% of students love, I don't know, spinach. If 16% of all of WVC students love spinach, what that tells me is that if I have 100 students in a room, I could expect that 16 of them would want to eat spinach. Pretty straightforward. Let's talk about converting fractions, decimals, and percents. Now, you're going to need to be able to convert them from one form to the other fairly fluidly. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to convert a percent into a fraction. And I'm going to start with an example, and then we'll go back and kind of review the process. If I want to convert 24% into a fraction, I know that 24% means 24 parts out of 100. Now what I can do to this fraction is I can reduce it. I can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 4. And when I reduce this fraction, this 24 out of 100, or 24 divided by 100, I get 6/25. So, to kind of recap, percent into a fraction, you're going to write your percent number as a fraction. You're going to write it as that number over 100. And then if you can, you're going to reduce. So whatever number is your percent, you're going to write that number over 100 and reduce. Let's talk about how to convert a decimal to a percent. So we are going down to the lower right. Again, we're going to start with an example, and then we're going to summarize our process here. Suppose I have the number 0.8. Now I want to know what percent that is. Well, what I'm trying to figure out is how many out of 100 0.8 is. We know how to solve this equation, right? We draw the line. Always got to draw the line. And then if I want to isolate x, I'm going to have to multiply both sides by 100. On the right, I'm representing it as a fraction. On the left, I'm just writing the integer. On the right, what happens is my hundreds cancel, and I'm left with just x. Now, whenever I multiply a number by 100, what that does is that pulls my decimal 2 scoops to the right. If I was multiplying by 1,000, it would be 3 scoops to the right. If I multiply by 10, it would be 1 scoop to the right. So here, when I multiply by 100, I have 2 zeros. That tells me this is going to go over 2 scoops. And I get x equals 80. So in summary, if I have 0.8 and I want to convert that decimal number into a percent, I pull it 2 scoops to the right, and it is the number 80%. Let's try another one. Suppose I have 1.355, and I want to convert that to a percent. Same idea. I pull it 2 scoops to the right, and my answer is 135.5%. You can write the equation and solve the equation for x, or you can use the shortcut where you move the decimal. Either is fine with me as long as you understand what you're doing and you're comfortable with that. Again, the shortcut, move the decimal 2 scoops to the right. Let's go the other direction then, converting a percent into a decimal. Again, we're going to start with the example, and then we're going to summarize our process. If I have 24%, I can write this as the fraction 24 divided by 100. Now what I'm going to do to convert this to a decimal is I'm going to do a little bit of long division. 24 goes inside the house, 100 goes outside the house, and I ask myself, does 100 go into 24? No, it doesn't. So what I need to do is add a decimal point and a 0. 100 does go into 240. It goes in twice. 2 times 100 is 200. We subtract and get 40. 100 does not go into 40, so I add another 0 and drop it down. 100 goes into 400 4 times. So let's look at the relationship. If I have a percent, 24%, I end up with the number 0.24. What did I do with my decimal? What would be the shortcut? Currently, the decimal is here, after the 4. The shortcut would be to pull it 2 scoops to the left. Let's try another one. Suppose I have 1.2. If I pull my decimal 2 scoops to the left, sorry, this should be 1.2%. If I pull my decimal 2 scoops to the left, what I end up with is 0.012 for my number, my decimal number. So, in summary, to turn a percent into a decimal, you're going to move the decimal 2 scoops to the left. The alternative to the shortcut, if you're going to get them confused between whether you should go left or go right, work it out the long way. 24%, write it as a fraction, and do some long division. Doesn't take that long, and you're guaranteed to get it right here. So that brings us to our fourth one, converting a fraction to a percent. Suppose I have the fraction 6/25, and we're actually going to work this one out 2 different ways. Or we're going to do 2 separate problems here. 6/25. If I'm trying to convert this fraction into a percent, I know that I'm trying to get it to be something out of 100. Sometimes it's going to be as simple as asking yourself, well, how can I turn a 25 into a 100? I can turn a 25 into 100 if I multiply by 4. But I'm not allowed to just multiply the denominator by 4. I can multiply it by 4 over 4 because this is actually 1. So we're applying these properties that we learned about fractions from chapter 1. 6 times 4 is 24 out of 100, and what that tells me is that 6/25 gives me 24%. The alternate method. Let me just slide that over here. Suppose I asked you to convert 1/5. This is 1 divided by 5. Right? We can turn a 5 into 100 by multiplying by 20, but let's try it a different way. What I can do is I can do a little long division. 1 is inside the house, 5 is outside the house. 5 does not go into 1, so I add a decimal point and a 0. 5 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. There's nothing left over. So what I've done is I've taken it from a fraction to a decimal, and we know how to take that from a decimal to a percent. I need to move it over 2 scoops. So 1/5 is 20%. Let's summarize our two processes. I can either write as some number over 100. Right? So I'm taking my fraction and I'm rewriting it as something over 100. And then I know that this something is my percent. Or I can convert to a decimal and then convert that into a percent. Okay, so if we go down to the U-Try, we have 6 problems here that I would like you to do. Please do these before coming to class. And let's flip the page. It's important that we know how to translate from words to symbols. There's some key phrases here, and what we're going to be doing is diagramming our sentences to convert them into math equations. So here's some key words. The word what. When you say what, that's the thing we're trying to find. This is going to be your indication that the what refers to your variable or some unknown value. Is or was. This is your indication that we're setting up an equation. Is or was means equals, and that is your clue to use the equal sign. Percent. We know that percent is some number over 100. Now, I'm partial to working with the fractions, or you can write the percent in decimal form if you prefer decimals. And then of means multiply. Of is your clue that you need to multiply whatever you have. So with this, with our key phrases still on the screen, what percent of 76 is 19? We're going to diagram this looking for our key words here. I know what is means. Is means equals. Okay, so something equals 19. What percent? This is the thing I'm trying to find. And I know how to write percent. Percent is something over 100. Right? So this is some number, some unknown value over 100. And then of is my clue that I need to multiply. And I'm multiplying that by 76. So what percent, that's something over 100, of, I'll draw an arrow to that here, what percent of 76 is 19? I've taken my sentence and I have diagrammed it directly to an equation. And then if we solve this, let me slide that up a little bit. When we solve this, this is 76 over 1. So I'm going to write this as 76x over 100 equals 19 over 1. I wrote it as 19 over 1 because I'm dealing with fractions. And what I need to do here to get rid of the 76 over 100 is I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, 100 over 76. 100 over 76. On the left, everything cancels except for x. On the right, I am left with, let me see, 19 and 76 are both divisible by 19. This goes in 4 times. This goes into itself once. And what I get is 100 divided by 4, which we all know is 25. Now, at the end of your problem, ask yourself, what was I trying to find? It says what percent. The percent is the thing I'm trying to find. So my answer really should be 25%. All right, I'm going to diagram one more for you, and then I'm going to have you do the last 4 on your own. Let me slide this down so we can look at our keywords here. Let me see. All right. 7 is, I'm going to highlight my keywords. I know is means equals. I know of means multiply. And then here, it's not what percent, it's what number. So let's diagram this. 7 is 175%. I prefer the fraction, so I'm going to go 175 over 100 of what number? Well, I don't know. Let's call it x. That's my equal sign. That's my of. And this is the thing I'm trying to find. I'm not going to solve this one. If we were going to solve it, we would multiply both sides by the reciprocal, 100 over 75. Maybe I will. Okay, I'll do it. You guys have twisted my arm. I know you were at home just dying for me to finish this for you, saying, please, please. Okay. All right, so I multiply both sides by the reciprocal, 100 over 175. And I'm going to write this as 7 over 1. On the right, these all cancel, leaving me with x. On the left, I'm going to reduce this 100 and 175. I know that they're both divisible by 25. 25 goes into 100 4 times. 25 goes into 175 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So I have 4 times 7 divided by 7. That reduces to 4. Oh, and I asked myself, what was I trying to find? I was trying to find what number. So I don't need to put a percent after this. This is just the number 4. Woohoo! That's awesome. Okay, last 4. So from this lesson, you are going to do on the front, please come in having done the 6 on the bottom, as well as the 4 on the back. And then you have one more video. We have the part 2 of this epic saga to watch. Yay! All right. Have a good night. Thanks. Bye.